Yeah.
Like, think about it. I'm like, hey, best friend in the world, Charlene. Let's say you're my best friend in the world, which you are, by the way.
Points coming over here. Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good.
Ooh, good.
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 Doing good.
Good.
Are you doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're doing good.
We're
together.
recording this on a holiday.
We are.
It felt right. Do we have anything we want to say before we get going? I feel like we're both a little like quiet today.
No.
We haven't spoken much today, actually.
No, there has not been a lot of talk.
We were singing.
There was singing. We spoke in song.
Yes. There was, we were playing Billy Joel while getting ready today.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. And Dire Straits. I've decided that I like Dire Straits.
Wow, you finally came around.
Yeah.
Well, you never really didn't like them.
Yeah,
You didn't know them.
I was underexposed to Dire Straits.
Very, very good. And I think, even though they did get their due, for sure, underrated band.
Yeah, what I like about them is it's sort of like a painter who has a clear aesthetic. Even if you're not like, wow, that's my favorite aesthetic, you're like, I respect that aesthetic.
When you hear Dire Straits, I can name Dire Straits in 5 notes.
That's
Any
pretty
Dire
impressive.
Straits song. I hear 5 notes, I got it.
Yeah, in some ways, that's more impressive than just making one beautiful song after another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have some A's to Q today, but before we do that, we're going to do that thing we've been doing with Q&As at the top, where we remind our Shandies, in case you are the kind of Shandy who would want the Shandy take, you would want our advice on something going on in your life, but you're like, but I don't want to be on a podcast. I don't want to come on as a caller. You could send in an anonymous question, but there's no guarantees that it'll get chosen. In fact, I'm just so touched at how many questions we get. It's really so I cannot tell you how full my heart is. I was always worried we wouldn't get enough questions for this to be a thing.
Worried.
Yeah, and we get so many questions from you guys, and they're all so great. It's actually hard to choose. But for the people who are like, I don't want anything about my life out there for thousands of Shandies to hear. I totally respect that. We have Shandy Off the Record now, where you could chat with us one-on-one, sort of like a caller episode, but it'll never see the light of day. It'll never go out to the public. So if that's something you feel would suit you and your needs, then you can email dearshandy@gmail.com for more information. All right, Andy, are you ready to A our Shandy's Q's?
Let me have them.
Let's do it. I love Q&As.
Yeah.
They're still my favorite.
The best.
All right, this first question is from Anonymous. I have a friend who considers birthdays to be important. I recall her once saying, if a friend doesn't remember my birthday, I would not consider her a good friend. I always or almost always remember her birthday by sending her a text or taking her out for a meal. With that said, she does not do the same in return. She will remember some years and send me a text and forget other years and has never taken me out to celebrate. For someone who considers this to be an important thing, isn't this inconsiderate, or does she just not consider me to be a close friend? Should I continue to remember her birthday, or do I also stop? Not to be petty, but I do feel taken for granted. For context, we've been friends for over 10 years, and I think we are fairly close. I am an introvert with a few close friends, and she is more of an extrovert, although she claims to be an introvert with many friends. Anonymous. I know how I feel about this.
Some people just don't care about birthdays.
Yeah. And also there are some people who are just a little hypocritical.
Yes. And there are some people who don't reach out to you on your birthday because you're not that important to them.
Mm-hmm. And then there's some people who are just very self-involved, and it's not even that loaded. It's just that you're not crossing their airwaves enough for them to know when your birthday is.
Right. So the answer to this question is, unfortunately, I don't know what this situation is. Does she seem to demand birthday favors and recognition on her birthday?
Yeah.
Does she care? Is she like, oh yeah, okay, thanks? Like, does she seem to not care about you wishing her a happy birthday or doing things for her birthday?
Yeah.
If that's the case, she probably doesn't care about birthdays, in which case don't take it as an insult. But I will say that I have friends now, currently, who forget my birthday every year.
Yeah.
And some of them are my best friends. And I know that those people don't care about birthdays very much. And I don't take it personally. Although there is always a little sting where I'm like, really?
Really?
Yeah,
So I'm the opposite, because it's like, it means absolutely nothing to me when I get a birthday wish, because I know it's on Facebook. It's, you know, like a million people can be reminded. It's not like they're like, oh, counting down the days till Charlene's birthday. And it means absolutely nothing to me whether someone remembers my birthday, partly because I am not a birthday person and I don't remember other people's birthdays.
No, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So since we don't have all the information,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, based on the averages that I've seen in my life and that you've seen, I think,
Yeah.
chances are, if someone's not wishing you a birthday every year and you think they're a close friend, that's a person who doesn't care about birthdays. It's not a person who doesn't care about you. That's my opinion.
Okay. But she claims to really care about birthdays, this person.
Well, that's a claim. I need to see evidence.
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on this, you know, she said that I recall her once saying, I mean, they've been friends for over 10 years. Did she say this 9 years ago? Did she say it 8 years ago? Did she say it last month?
Right.
All I'm saying is I think people can say things that they believe at the time, and then years go by and they kind of, it's not even a conscious decision. It's just maybe they change and no longer care as much about birthdays or other people's birthdays, and life kind of just gets busier. I think life just gets busier and busier as you get older and older. And I mean, I if anyone is wondering if that's true or not, I feel like my life is so much busier than it was in my 20s.
It's getting busier.
Yeah, and I think in my 20s, I probably cared more about birthdays.
Definitely.
The
less busy you are, the more you care about birthdays.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's nothing to do. There's like, oh, it's my birthday. Let's like all do something. Because none of us are busy.
Yeah, none
I'm
of us
not
have
busy.
kids or, totally.
It's a birthday. It's an excuse to do something fun. Because
Yeah.
we don't have anything else to do.
Totally. So all this to say, Anonymous, I think you're putting too much thought into this whole dynamic, reading between the lines of like, you know, she reciprocated this many times. I'm not saying that it's not annoying when someone is a little hypocritical, and it is annoying that she doesn't seem to return what she claims to want to receive. But I also wonder how much she really meant it when she said it, how much she's changed since. Like, I had a friend once, for example, who she always wore really, really beautiful jewelry. And I once asked her if her earrings were real. And she was like, oh, I would never wear fake jewelry. And I was like, damn, okay. Like I with no judgment. I was just like, damn, it's like a strong statement, right? Like this, I don't know. There's a lot of really cute, not real jewelry out there.
Yeah, sure.
Almost all the jewelry I wear is not real.
Yeah, you don't have to wear real.
But then like years later, like less than 5 years later, I think, I was like, I complimented a piece of jewelry. I was like, oh my God, like that's like, I can't believe that's real. And she's like, this isn't real.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I thought you only wear real jewelry. Like you told me at that restaurant X many years ago. She was like, I said that? That's such a dick thing to say.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I can't believe I said that. And I was like, oh, like I wasn't judging that you said it. I just thought it was true. Like maybe it was true at that moment. All I'm saying is that people say things.
People lie and people change.
Yeah.
And they do both. Sometimes
Yes.
at the same time.
And sometimes without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Often without realizing it.
This is how I'm going to summarize this, because I don't know the situation here. There are like 4 possibilities here.
Okay.
One is,
I think already, to be honest, I don't know if I care.
well, this is the thing. Generally speaking, you shouldn't care that much about birthdays.
Yeah, I
That's
think
a general
even
rule.
the 4 possibilities I don't think are necessary, because the overriding takeaway is the same, which is that Anonymous needs to care less than half as much as she's caring.
I'm going to
currently.
try to make Anonymous feel better.
Okay.
So there are 4. It's like a quadrant, you know, like a game theory. There's
Okay.
four possibilities. One is your friend is a selfish person who likes birthdays. So she likes her birthday, but she doesn't ever make an effort for other people's
Totally.
birthdays.
And there are people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one. That's
Actually a very common personality
very
type.
common.
Yes.
So maybe you have a selfish friend, and you know you can live with that. Whatever you think about that. Number 2 is this person doesn't give a shit about birthdays. She may have said one time that she likes birthdays. She doesn't give a shit anymore. Missing your birthday means as much to her as someone missing her birthday. Doesn't care, which is good. That's a very high percentage chance that that's the case.
Yes.
Then there's the person who actually, I realize there are now 3.
3 quadrants.
There's 3. There's only 3 possibilities.
Okay.
This is a third. The third is that this is a person who doesn't really like you that much. You're not that close friend. Wait. Let me finish.
It's freeing.
Let me finish. This is the least likely of the 3 I've mentioned, by far.
By far.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that you understand what a friend is. You're an adult, so you probably are friends with this girl, and she's probably a good friend of yours. This is the least likely of, in my experience in life, and I've thought about this question a lot more than I probably should have. Because I've been, every birthday, I'm like, who's wishing me a happy birthday? And it used to be, I'm like, these are my real friends. And as time went on, I was like, I don't care. No one cares about birthdays. These are not my real friends. As a matter of fact, I find, to add to these three mathematical possibilities, I find that oftentimes the people who consistently wish me a happy birthday are my least good friends.
I mean, I kind of think
they're trying to pick up, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to pick up the loose change on the street.
Yes.
They're like, oh, I'll just throw, happy B-Day.
Yeah.
Oh, there I go. I did it for a year. I'm good. I haven't
communicated with you in a whole year. Literally the last text exchange between us was me wishing you a happy birthday last year.
Yes.
And there's no real meaning behind it. Like we haven't been friends for a year.
You ever see those text chains where you go and you look at your text and it's literally the whole text chain for like 10 years? It's like, happy birthday, thanks. Happy birthday, thanks. Happy birthday, thanks. Happy New Year. Thanks. Happy birthday. Thanks. Those are not real friends.
No.
So my suggestion to you is focus on the first two. You either have a selfish friend or a friend who doesn't care about birthdays or both. And either one of those is fine. Half the world is selfish. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. This person is your friend. They don't care that much about birthdays, or they're a selfish piece of shit. Either way, it doesn't matter. Your question is answered.
And I also think don't do things out of spite. Not to suggest that I don't. I mean, I actually think I operate on spite more than I should. But I mean, in terms of like, I don't think she should go out of her way to not wish her a happy birthday because she didn't wish her a happy birthday. Like that's just like, come on.
And my overreaching takeaway, what I want to be the takeaway here is birthdays don't mean shit.
Yes.
Who cares?
Yep. Okay.
Who cares
and
about
if your friend cares and you don't, but here's the other thing is if your friend cares and you don't, I don't think you have to force yourself to care more than you do.
No, you care more because you have this perception that your friend should care, but you don't really care if your friend cares. You don't care about anything.
Yeah.
No one after the age of 10, birthdays shouldn't even have birthdays. It should be illegal. Okay. No one wants them.
Okay. All right, Anonymous. Good luck. I do not think you need it. All right. This next question is from Sam. And it's another birthday question.
Another birthday question?
But a different birthday question. Dear Shandy, first, I want to say how grateful I am for you both and your podcast. I listen to your episodes as soon as they come out and will often listen to them for a second or third time. Wow. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
You never cease to make me smile, and you both have helped me improve my perspective through your A's to many relatable Q's. It would be surreal if you could answer mine. My husband, 32 male, and I, 30 female, have been invited to our friend's kid's second birthday party, and we dislike children. We attended the first birthday party last year, and being surrounded by 10 plus kids while being the only couple without one of our own was extremely awkward and overwhelming. My husband and I have not had many interactions with kids, even our friends, and their kid we see maybe 3 times a year, so we often do not know how to interact with kids, and it is more difficult to relate to the other parents attending the parties. I want to support our friends, but the thought of going to another party seems daunting. Not to mention, they are expecting their second child, meaning soon there's going to be double the parties. Are my husband and I assholes for not wanting to attend our friends' kids' birthdays? Should we attend, or is there an appropriate way for us to get out of them? Any help is greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Sam.
Okay. So look, let's make a universal truth here. Acknowledge a universal truth.
Yes.
Aside from a fringe of people,
yes,
no one likes kids' birthday parties. Adults do not like going to kids' birthday parties, even adults who have kids. I mean, yes.
No, I think adults who have kids do, because that's a big activity, especially if there's something elaborate going on.
A good chunk
it's like, oh, great, my kid is occupied.
Yeah, a good chunk of parents don't mind going to birthday
Yeah, and it's
parties.
also social, especially if you all have kids. It's like social
it's
hour.
fine. I'm sure
we see those
maybe
people in the park.
50-50. 50% of parents like going to birthday
I don't
parties.
know. Let's find out from the Shandies with kids. I'm dying to know the truth. Do you actually enjoy going to your friends' kids' birthday parties?
Don't lie.
And don't be all holier than thou.
No virtue signaling here. Just tell us the truth.
I love going.
It's anonymous. No one knows who you are.
Okay, so your point being?
My point is that generally speaking, most humans of an adult nature don't enjoy kids' birthday parties.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you don't have to make some grand excuse. You just make an ordinary excuse.
Yeah, and I just don't think they're going to be missed
No,
as
no
much
one
as
cares.
I don't think you need to feel so bad about missing this. I mean, certainly the 2-year-old's not going to notice.
Can I tell you the honest truth? I think that people with kids, and I can't speak for us, but I think people with kids don't care if people with not kids come to their kid's birthday party. They're doing it because they feel like it's the polite thing to do, because they're their friends.
Oh, so you think that they don't even necessarily
They don't even care. They actually may prefer it. They'd be like, I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I know they're not. I know they know that their friends don't want to go to the party. It's one of those things where you ask someone to do something where it's like you both know what's going on, but it's the polite thing to do.
No, I know what you mean. It's like a social like etiquette thing. The sort of the way when we had a wedding, my parents and your mom, like they each had a list of friends to invite to our wedding. We're really expecting all of them to come, but it's like the gesture.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm that close with my parents' friends. My parents wanted to invite their friends to my wedding the way they were invited to their friends' kids' weddings.
It's formality.
Yes.
They don't care. Your friends don't care if you come to
Yeah,
their
yeah.
kid's birthday
Just make
party.
an excuse.
You're the least important
Yeah.
couple at this birthday party.
Yeah.
And they
And
don't even
enjoy that.
care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, enjoy the freedom that comes with that. I don't think that you're the asshole for this. I think that this is pretty obvious, right?
The excuse for not going to these parties can be so weak as like literally we just woke up really tired
Yeah.
today. Like we just feel exhausted. We had a hard week. That's
Yeah.
enough. And they'll be like, we totally get it. You're off the hook. We honestly didn't care if you came anyway. We're
Yeah.
just being nice.
Okay, this one's easy. I think we can move on.
And you know who else doesn't care?
Who?
The kids. No kids. I was never at a kids party ever in my life where I was like, where's that adult that I once saw?
No, if anything, I'm like, why is he here?
Yeah, and you know what? It's selfish for the parents to invite people to the party that have nothing to do with the kids. They're just inviting them for themselves. Like, hey, come to this party. It's hilarious. There's a bunch of kids. They're going to be acting like kids. It's for us. It's not for the kids. It's the kid's birthday party. The kid makes the decisions, and that kid doesn't give one shit if you come to this party.
Yeah. Okay. I think we made that one pretty easy. Not the asshole and don't go to the party. Okay. So I've chosen this next one to put here because it fits sort of like a puzzle piece to the last one. Ooh, and the last one fit with the one before that.
Yeah.
I love when that happens. It's like they go on a tangent.
Exciting.
This one's from Anonymous. Dear Shandy, I've been a fan of Charlene's since the Pretty Pandas days. Thanks for all the thoughtfulness and care you both put into what you do. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Original Panda. I am a 36-year-old woman and have a completely adorable 9-month-old baby who I am raising by myself. Before my daughter was born, I asked a very close friend, Amelia, if she and her husband, John, would be the baby's guardians in case anything ever happened to me. This was a happy and emotional conversation, and they agreed. Amelia helped plan my baby shower with my mom and was generally super supportive throughout my pregnancy. She and John reassured me profusely that they would be there to help me with whatever I might need, and there was talk of them watching the baby on weekends, etc., etc. The plan was for Amelia to be kind of on call the first few weeks after the birth and maybe to come stay with me if I needed it. Ever since my daughter was born, however, things haven't panned out the way I envisioned them at all. I can count on one hand the number of times Amelia has visited, and I think we've spoken on the phone maybe 2 or 3 times. In the beginning, I would text a lot of updates and pictures, but realizing that I was the one initiating all of our communication, I scaled back to try and even things out. That strategy has resulted in us barely communicating. When I do reach out, Amelia responds as if nothing is wrong, makes a plan to get together, and then doesn't follow through. To be fair, Amelia has been under an immense amount of work stress and has had some chronic health issues that were bad over the winter. A lot of the early cancellations of visits were because of her being sick. This doesn't stop me from feeling really disappointed about how little they've been in my life. I'm sure I've contributed to this dynamic in some way, but I also have not gotten a solid night of sleep in 9 entire months, so I feel like I should be granted some extra accommodations. I've had to lean on other friends for emotional and logistical support, both with hard things like a trip to the ER with the baby, as well as all the fun things like watching her learn to crawl, her first trip to the park, etc., none of which Amelia and John have been a part of. At this point, I feel pretty let down and also kind of pissed that I had such a different expectation of our friendship. This has been the most challenging time of my life, and I could have really used Amelia's support. I've tried to make a time to talk about things, but she'll do the same thing where she seems enthusiastic about talking and then not be available for it to actually happen. I've also been thinking back on our pre-baby friendship and realizing that maybe she was more inconsistent to begin with than I had been fully aware of. At this point, normally I would just resign myself to a more distant friendship and recalibrate my expectations. However, I'm also wondering if I should change my daughter's guardians to people who seem more able to be present and involved. If I did that, I would need to let Amelia and John know, and that would certainly bring things to a head. I would greatly appreciate any thoughts you might have. Thanks so much for reading this. Disappointed and a little pissed. You can see how it fits with the previous one. And by the way, we followed up to find out if Amelia and John have their own children. And she says they do not have their own children. They are in their late 40s now and had really wanted children, but tried unsuccessfully to get pregnant through their 30s. And she says that's another reason why it felt meaningful to choose them as guardians.
I think I'm gonna give you the reins on this one.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
So I think that disappointed and a little pissed. We'll call her anonymous. I understand why you're feeling sort of abandoned by these friends, especially Amelia. But I think that there's more to Amelia's experience, especially around children, having tried to have her own children, not succeeding in having her own children. And like, I think that there's a lot of like being excited for a friend when they're about to have a kid, but then when they actually have a kid, like it can really slap you in the face, like with the fact that you never had your own kid when you did want your own kid. I think that that Amelia's and plus she's having these chronic health issues. I understand why she's like in it, right? She's not sleeping well. She's got this baby to look after all on her own, but these are still her own choices. These are Anonymous's choices. It's not like she chose to have a baby on the condition that these friends would be here for her in like a certain capacity. And I think that babies bring things to a certain kind of head. They certainly bring friendships to a head. And I don't actually think that Amelia is not being a good friend to Anonymous. I think that Amelia is going through her own stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, because that was my takeaway.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling strongly about it, but I think that
it feels uncomfortable. Like I don't feel comfortable being like, Anonymous, you know, you're being kind of self-involved and like, yeah, you're wrapped up with your own baby and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying she's being self-involved. I just think that you can't expect someone to love your child the way you love your child. They can be excited ahead of time, but I think that, you know, like she's like, it felt meaningful to ask them to be my baby's guardians because they were never able to have their own children. I think that is a beautiful gesture. But I also think that could land so meaningfully 10 out of 10 with some people. And the idea is beautiful to other people, and then the reality of it looks really different. Like maybe they just want to separate themselves from children entirely. Yeah. That is, and they're within their right to want to do that, frankly.
Yeah, I think personally that this is a big ask.
Yes.
Number one, huge. It's the hugest of asks.
Yes.
And I think it could be taken different ways. If someone came to me, and I don't know how much detail was given to them about how much she wanted help, what kind of help she wanted.
Yeah.
If someone came to me and said, I want you to be the guardian of my child, you know, in case I need something. First of all, I would say I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it because I know me, and I know that I don't want that responsibility right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, sorry, I can't come to be the guardian because I've got this other thing. And I don't have time for this. I don't want to be a dick. So I'm going to say no. That's just me. But if I did say yes, I would still think that guardian would involve, like, if she died, or if she was put in prison, or if like she was captured by, ISIS or something, I'm taking care of this kid.
Yeah.
That's the way I would think of it. It wouldn't be like, oh, I need to go have a lunch with friends, or I need some help. The kid is sick and it's annoying. I wouldn't take it that way at all.
We're going to the park for the first time. I'm going to come with you. Yeah.
That is not the way I would see guardian. To me, guardian is like, you are the last line. You're like that guy, the kicker in football. Like the kicker kicks the ball and then all the team comes running. And if there's one guy left to stop the guy from scoring a touchdown, it's the kicker. And the kicker's like, I'm not supposed to do this. I'm the smallest guy on the team. I'm going to do this, but I do not want to do this. That's the guardian I'm thinking about.
And I mean, I think that can look different to you poll 10 people and the term guardian might mean something different to each of them.
So I think there's a lot of room for misinterpretation of what guardian is. And honestly, that misinterpretation, in my opinion, would always lean towards the more extreme. So I give them I release blame from them on that part. Then you add the fact that she's having serious medical problems and there's all sorts of other work stress. That alone, even for a good person who really did mean that they were going to be there for the first walk and there if the kid's sick and all that nonsense, even a good person might fall down on those responsibilities and those promises because of that kind of stuff. People got to live their lives. It's not her kid. And then the cherry on top, which is what you touched on, which is what I kept thinking about too, is that this is shining a light right in her face. Like, look at this kid that's not yours. Yeah. This is what you tried to have, and now you can't have it. But
it depends on the friend. It depends on the person. But for some people, that it would really feel like that.
Some people can turn it around completely and be like, oh, I'm getting to experience this, and it makes me happy.
Yes.
Most people, I think, would be like, the longing and the pain would be stinging. And I don't think that if she could have kids, as a matter of fact, if you're going to ask people to be a guardian, I'd say ask people with kids. It's even better. It's counterintuitive, but might be better. The same way you ask someone to do a favor for you, ask someone who's super busy. Don't ask someone who's all the time in the world. Yeah. Because they'll never do it.
Okay. I have a quick question. Do you know who your guardian is? Like, who was your...
I do know who my guardian is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Can I ask who it was? I can bleep it. I'm curious. No, when you were born.
Oh.
Because he just said a friend.
Oh, that's who my guardian would be. My guardian for my kid.
Oh.
That's what I thought you were asking.
If you had a kid, you'd make the guardian?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is, wow. Yeah, have you ever told him that? He would be so touched.
It's really...
Although maybe he wouldn't want it.
No, I don't think he would. I think he'd say yes and be like, ugh. Well, but he would do it.
Yeah.
But
do you know who your guardian when you were a baby?
Yes, I do know who it was.
Okay.
But it was my godfather. It wasn't a guardian. It was my godfather.
So my next question is, how present was this person?
I can tell you right now, I can count on 2 fingers how many times I saw this guy. His name was... That's all I know. I remember one time I ran into him in the street with my dad and he said, oh, this is your godfather. And I didn't know what godfather meant.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And this is this guy. He never was at the house. He never came to help with anything. He was never there. He was just some guy.
So he was someone they were friends with at the time.
Yes. As a matter of fact, he created the definition of godfather for me. I assumed godfather was a joke. It was kind of like you say someone's your godfather. It's not really anything. It's just like, oh, can you be the godfather of my kids? Like, yeah, I'll be the godfather. Sure. Why not? Okay.
So I know who my godparents are. They're no longer together, but they also had 3 kids. And to be honest, like, I would say there was like maybe one extra element in the fact that like I would get a birthday present like once every couple of years randomly, and my sisters wouldn't get one from them. And the same for each of my sisters. Like they would randomly get a birthday present once every couple of years that I wouldn't get. But I wouldn't say that it resulted in like an extra set of hands around the house as we were being raised. And I know, granted, I had 2 parents doing that. And, I get that Anonymous is doing this alone. But I think that this can look different to a lot of people. And if there's like a clear cut, like this is what this is going to look like. I actually think the crime that Amelia and John are guilty of committing, particularly it sounds like Amelia, because it sounds like Amelia and Anonymous are the real friends here, is I think Amelia is not good at saying no.
And I was just about to get to that. My final point. Be careful what you ask of people, because people will often say yes, but it's uncomfortable to say no, especially for something like this. Like, think about it. I'm like, hey, best friend in the world, Charlene. Let's say you're my best friend in the world, which you are, by the way.
Points coming over here. Okay. I'm so jangly today.
Yeah, that was a lot of good jangles. So anyway, my point is be careful what you ask, because most people, honestly, I forgot what I was talking about.
I'm your best friend.
You're my best friend.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Charlene, you're my best friend in the world. You mean more than anything to me. You're the most important person. I trust you so much. I'm going to have this baby soon. I would like you to be the guardian of my baby. It would mean so much to me. Well, that's a long pause.
I am so touched.
Oh.
I am so touched.
Good.
I feel so I feel very important to you. I feel
well,
very
you
special.
are. You're the most important person in the world
Yeah.
to me. I wouldn't ask anybody else this. So you're good with that? Yeah.
Am I allowed to think about it?
No, just give me an answer. I think this is a best friend kind of answer right on the spot.
Yeah. I think you're touching on something here. And obviously.
Wait, so are you not taking care of my child? You piece of shit. I thought you were a friend.
And what's interesting is, I think this is so interesting. And first of all, I realize that we are coming at this answer from the perspective as a couple who does not have children. This is crucial. There might be people who have kids who are really close with the godparents of their children. And, it's like, I totally get that it can look different from couple to couple, from city to city, from friendship to friendship. So our perspective on this is 100% colored by our experience, not only currently, but also growing up as children with godparents who were clearly not very present in our lives.
Weak.
Yes. But I think everything can be distilled down to the fact that we had to follow up with Anonymous to ask if Amelia and John have children of their own and to find out what I think is the most important tidbit in this entire question. It's a longish question. The most important tidbit to me is that Amelia and John attempted to have children in their 30s and did not succeed.
Yes. And that hurts. There's no question it hurts for them. It lingers. It'll always linger.
But how interesting that she didn't include that. Her whole email was about how hurt she is, how disappointed she is, and frankly pissed she is. But I think that piece of information, what if we hadn't found that out?
I agree. And
that to me, that suggests that Anonymous is, I understand that her world is turned upside down. She has this beautiful baby. She's obsessed with her baby. She wants her friends to love and care about and be involved as much as she wants them to be. But at the end of the day, everyone has they're all in their own bubbles with their own emotional experiences.
Yes, everything you're saying, I agree with. I think Anonymous, this was too big an ask. You are doing a yeoman's task. You are doing the hardest thing there is to raise a child on your own as a single mother. Everyone applauds you. You are
it's amazing. Yeah.
But
the hero's journey.
It's the hero's journey. You are going through this journey alone. No, you cannot.
Don't think we're criticizing you. Like I mad props to you.
No, of course. Everyone knows she's doing an amazing job. It's very hard, very difficult. But this is not something you can rely on anyone else's help for. This is unfortunately a journey you're going on your own. And if someone had promised that they're going to be a guardian, I got to be honest with you, I could promise that to someone, and I'm telling you right now, a lot of the time I would not be there. I would just not. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it. Yeah. I would have something else that would conflict with something. I'd have to plan and schedule. I'd be like, you know what? It's just your kid. It's your kid. And unfortunately, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, it's not your kid.
It's not my kid. And if I couldn't have a kid and I really wanted to have a kid and I couldn't, and it was taken from me by fate and genetics and biology, whatever, I would really not want to deal.
And it depends on the person. Some people would, some people wouldn't.
I personally would not want to be in the presence of that kid, taking care of that kid, knowing it's not mine.
24/7. Like, I think you would want to go you'd want to go to a birthday party. You might want to go to the park, like here and there, do things. But I don't know if you'd want to be as involved as I think Anonymous was expecting. And as I think Amelia even believed that I think Amelia thought she would want to be more involved than she's realizing she wants to be.
And I think
people are allowed to change their minds.
She bit off more than she could chew.
Yeah, and I think she's not good at saying no. And also, we have to have compassion for why people might change their minds, why their lives change, why they're busy. It sounds like Amelia's going through.
Yes, and had stress. Unfortunately, you have these days, Anonymous, where you're like, I'm going crazy. Like, I can't do this on my own. And there was this person who promised me. But honestly, there's so many people who make promises in life who fall down on them, but you don't care that much. But it's like, this isn't that big a deal. The kid, this is a huge deal. You're going through a really difficult time. And you're like, why isn't she helping me? It's the level of difficulty you're going through compared to the promise. It's not the promise itself, because promises are broken 90% of the time.
Totally.
So don't blame Amelia for this. She's going through her own stuff. You unfortunately have to deal with this on your own. And in the future, I would say just be careful how big an ask you make of friends, because friends are not family and friends are not you, and especially friends who might have a really sore spot about the thing you're asking them a favor for.
Yes. And also, even if Amelia, up until the birth of this child, was like, yes, I'm all in. I'm so excited for you. I'm helping you plan. I'll be there for you. You have to have compassion for the fact that she is within her right to change her mind, to change the way she feels about it based on being faced with it. And that doesn't make her necessarily a bad friend.
No.
I actually think that it would be very good for your friendship if you struck up a what feels like an actual conversation about why this looks different, instead of like, I want to take the guardian title away from you as a form what sounds kind of like punishment.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it sounds like. I know that Anonymous feels hurt and that's why she wants to change it. But my perspective, our perspective, knowing how we would feel if we were asked this, is that she might be going through more than you're giving her credit for going through. And there might be a really friendship deepening conversation to be had here.
Yes. And I think that this could be, if you do this the wrong way, a friendship ending situation. And what Charlene said is true. This could be a friendship deepening situation just by having the talk. This is not a reason to end this friendship with Amelia. I am the judge. This is a courtroom. I'm declare verdict on this. Not guilty. Amelia, how do you do that? No, you don't hit the hammer when you say not guilty.
No?
You just say not guilty.
Oh, what do you say?
Oh, no, the judge doesn't say that either. He reads the verdict.
Oh, okay.
So I'm reading.
Wait, so when does the judge do the hammer?
Oh, the judge sentences. Oh, but I think in small court, the judge makes the verdict too.
Okay.
Forget. Not guilty. She's not guilty. Amelia, not guilty.
Okay.
But went to trial though, so there was some indictment. As I said, in life, you can lean on your friends to a certain degree, but then it falls. It's a very thin wall. It's like a very, very thin drywall. There's no reinforcement. You got to lean on friends just enough before they start to tilt. And I think asking a friend to be a lifelong guardian of your child, but also asking them to be a day-to-day guardian of your child, is where I think most friendships would break on the favor side.
Okay. Also, can we talk about how she says she observes that actually maybe Amelia has always been like this? Which makes me wonder if Anonymous has been spearheading a lot in this friendship.
But that's a
whole other thing. No, but I know, but I think it's all
other
interconnected, because if Amelia is more passive, is more of the receiver, then she would be more likely to be like, oh, you want me to be the guardian? Okay. And not necessarily speak out and be like, actually, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, there are a lot of yes people in this world.
Yes.
I have a lot of yes friends who say yes to everything and then they don't do any of the things.
Yeah.
And I know they're those people. So I'm like, you know what? There are times I can count on this friend, and the times are not the times I ask them to do something in the future.
Okay, Anonymous, hopefully this gives you some good food for thought. Congratulations. It sounds like you are very happy with your baby. And I mean,
that's the important thing.
Yes. And talk about the hero's journey, and to be doing it on your own. We commend you. We are so impressed. But I do think that even though you are like, she's in her own orbit right now, right?
Yes.
Like, she's got the baby, she's revolving around the baby's revolving around her. Remember that other people's lives go on.
Yes, other people have very busy, important lives, and everyone's their own most important player in their play.
And they should be.
And they should be. That's the way life works. That's the way the world goes round.
Yes.
And I will say this, as you touched on, when your daughter is a grown person, you can be so proud that it was all you. And also on the flip side, you can't blame Amelia if your daughter turns out to be a brat.
Okay, moving on. Good luck. I do think you're going to kind of need it, because I think this, the homework for Anonymous revolves some self-reflection, which is always hard, but worth it. Always worth it.
Good luck.
All right. This next question is from Anonymous. All anonymous today.
No, people are scared.
But she actually signs not Eleanor Roosevelt. Dear Shandy, as much as I love you both and the podcast, I'm going to get right into it. I was taking a biology course in the spring, and my professor asked us if we knew the closest relative we could get with and be genetically okay.
Wait. Oh, get with that way. Yeah, got it. Sorry.
He told us it was our first cousins and quipped that it meant we had more options when we went to our family reunions over the summer.
Okay, so just question here. Just trying to figure out what's happening. Are they asking because they're interested, or are they asking out of pure curiosity?
Don't you want to just hear the question, Andy?
Okay.
I joked at the time that my cousin was too old, seeing as I only have first cousins on one side of my family and only one male in the mix, who's a horrible option whether we're related or not. Well, fast forward a few months and I was at a get-together with one of my parents' cousins and some of their kids. Kids in quotes, because we're all over 30 and, oddly enough, single. As we were hanging around waiting for people to show up, one of the cousins' wives started talking about some of her son's interests and things he does with his time. I was intrigued, but wait, that's my cousin she's talking about. Her son hadn't shown up yet, and as we continued to chat and wait, I started to wonder what would happen if I found him attractive. I knew I last saw him at a wedding 15 years ago, but I didn't actually remember him. Well, he showed up, and I can't say that I'm necessarily overly attracted to him, but I also can't shake the feeling that if I saw him on an app or met him in person, not knowing we were related, I'd probably go for him.
Now I know why this is anonymous.
I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't know or recognize at least 75% of my second cousins if I passed them on the street. I do think that's true.
I think this person really wants to bang her cousins. I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting here.
I'd like to think that modern dating isn't so horrible that I have to resort to my cousin, but here I am writing into a podcast. My questions are, how wrong is it to go for your second cousin? Our grandparents were siblings, aka we share a set of great grandparents. And how do you even go about trying to hit on your cousin? Because if they're not into or open to it, then it gets really freaking weird and uncomfortable. Other things to consider, I'm as white as they come and he's half Asian, so from looks alone, people would likely never assume we're related. It would only get awkward if they asked how we met and we told them at a family get-together. Hopefully it's clear from the rest of the email that we did not spend much time or grow up together. I maybe saw him a handful of times growing up and have no clear memories of him. Also, I'm in my 30s and he's 10 years older than me, and we live in a heavily populated area where it shouldn't be necessary to pursue a family member.
Oh, that was my first question.
But again, here I am writing into a podcast. Thanks so much for considering my question. I really do love you both. Best, not Eleanor Roosevelt. And the title of the
Wait, did
question,
Eleanor Roosevelt marry her cousin?
I guess. I figured you would know that.
How much? That's
I pretended to know.
I didn't. I mean, is that common knowledge?
Want me to Google it?
Yeah.
Eleanor and Franklin were cousins.
Wow.
But how closely related were they, and how blah, 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 and then you can like dig into it.
Well, you don't hear much about any of the other Roosevelts after Franklin.
I wonder how...
The Roosevelts ended there. You had Teddy, and you had Franklin, and then who's the next Roosevelt? The next Roosevelt's messed up.
Wait, at 15, she attended Bell boarding academy and was deeply influenced by its founder. Returning to the U.S., she married her fifth cousin once removed.
Oh, come on. That's barely... I mean, everyone... You're probably my fifth cousin
once removed. Okay.
That's nothing. Come on. That doesn't count.
Okay.
That's BS.
Okay.
We're all cousins. Actually, everyone on Earth is cousins, technically, according to that.
Okay, so... How do you hit on your cousin? That's the title of the question.
Now, first I thought maybe she was running from the North Pole. And, this was something of a concern.
Is this a serious question?
I don't think it is. But I'm going to...
I think it maybe kind of is.
I think it's 50-50. But I'm going to answer it as if
she wanted a question to be chosen, and she knew that we couldn't resist this question.
She knew. I'm going to assume that the Shandys write in serious questions. So I'm going to treat this like a serious question.
We have no choice but to assume.
But I will say this. I have a feeling it's not.
Are you going to wag your finger at her?
I'm going to do this. If I'm getting punked, I'm not getting punked. So just so you know, this is not me getting punked. I'm answering this question because I respect the work here. Okay. Anyway, so once she said she's from a big city, I kind of was like, what's going on here? This girl likes her cousins.
Yeah.
This girl likes cousins. And I personally think that genetics aside, I don't want any part of anyone, even if I could find them on a 23andMe anywhere on that tree, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
Why do you want that? Well, there's so many fish in the sea. Why would you want that?
I think Anonymous would not even be thinking about this if she hadn't been asked by her professor in her biology course, what is the closest cousin that you could get with and be okay.
Right.
Like, I think that implanted the idea in her mind, because I think otherwise this would just not be something that's done. Yeah. And look, I'm not suggesting that this doesn't happen.
Of course it happens. It happens way worse than cousins.
It probably also happens more commonly. Like, I think most people probably aren't writing in a podcast. I'm sure it happens, and that is what it is. But this is what gets me. Where's the actual connection with him? Other than being told what he's into and looking at him being like, oh, I don't find him unattractive. It's sort of like, okay, well, where? That's it? Is that all it takes? Like, that wouldn't even get me a second date on a dating app.
I don't even think we have to go that deep. I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes.
I've seen these movies.
Yes.
You stay away from this stuff. You never know what's going to happen. There are 8 billion people and growing on this planet. There's no reason, especially if you live in a big city, to do anything with your cousin. If you want to make out with your cousin, you want to get your rocks off and some weird fetish you have, fine. I have no issue with that. Do not date your cousin. I don't care if they're your first cousin, removed cousin. Okay, just don't do it.
No, my point though is, I mean, I agree, but my point is, if you're going to get with your second cousin, like in this way, it has to be because
lightning bolt.
Yeah, it's
you were struck.
Undeniable. You can't live without them. You can't live without them.
You go to Thanksgiving dinner and your panties drop right away. You can't even get to the turkey. You're sitting there. You can't even keep your pants on.
Yes. And you're soulmates. You both know it. It's not deniable. It's not something you're like, oh, I'm not sure if he'll reciprocate. Then things would get weird. It's like, no.
You don't go seeking cousins. You don't look for it. You're not on like cousinfinder.com.
Exactly. You don't go seeking it. It has to hit you across the face. It's a violent.
Yes. And then you go to your family. You have a big announcement. You get up at Thanksgiving dinner. You say, I would like ding, ding, ding. I would like to make an announcement. Yeah. We are in love. And everyone covers their, they're shrieking. You get a lecture from your parents.
Someone faints.
But that's it. You found love and it happens to be your cousin.
Yeah. And you didn't have a
genetically,
choice.
you're probably maybe in the clear. Who knows? You'll find out the hard way.
But it hit you. It hit you. You didn't go searching for it.
You are in love.
Yes. Okay.
Passionate and more love than usual. Even more. If it's with a stranger, the love has to be one full notch higher with a cousin. You have to be so in love that you will kill yourself if you can't spend another day with this person.
Yes, I completely agree. Okay. I'm glad we agree on this. Okay, so Anonymous, it takes a lot for us to really deter someone from going after what they want. But the thing is, I don't even feel like you really even want your cousin. You're kind of like, I think this is, I'm not sure this is a serious question.
I already made the disclaimer. Yeah. You're not punking us. Yeah. I know that I might be getting punked. Yeah. Therefore, I am the adult in the room here, Anonymous. I am the adult. And I'm answering your question as if it was serious.
Yes.
But I know you're probably punking.
Yeah, I just feel like you need to ask yourself if you really even know much about this person enough to care or want. I mean, to me, the amount that she knows about him is literally barely someone you, like she said, she's like, oh, I would swipe right on that person.
Are we still
is
talking
that
about,
enough?
Are we still talking about this?
We're not still talking. We're moving on. Anonymous, we're not judging you. We thank you for the entertaining question. All right, this next question is from Anonymous. Dear Shandy, I love your podcast. I listen to it all day at work, and it is the main reason I am able to get through my boring desk job.
Wait a minute. What about your boss? Are you doing any work? No, I mean, I like that you're listening, but do your work too. I
am a 21-year-old female, and dear Shandy has given me a lot of perspective on my youth and how much time I have to enjoy being single. Oh, that's nice. I now aspire to find an older, attractive man a little bit down the line who will make me laugh as loud as Andy does, Charlene.
Aww.
Anyways, around 5 months ago, I ended my toxic relationship that lasted exactly 1 year. Yay! Since then, I have been going on casual dates and generally just enjoying my time single in college. During the last month of school before summer break, I met a boy, male, also 21, at a party and ended up going back to his apartment. Nothing too crazy happened. However, I really enjoyed the time we had together and felt he was far nicer and less douchey than the classic 21-year-old college boy. We ended up seeing each other at most social events after that due to mutual friends, and in total, I went back to his apartment 3 times each time I grew more fond of him. However, ... He is kind of bad at kissing, and overall it feels like our intimacy styles don't match. I've been battling with this because he is exactly my type and everything else feels right. I know he is reserved and maybe a little bit innocent, and I'm not sure if spending more time with him would help out in that department. He still keeps in contact with me, and despite our differences, I feel a spark I haven't felt since I was 17. I knew you would like that. Fast forward to the middle of summer, I was with a group of people and ended up hooking up with one of my friends, male, also 21. I never really looked at him in that way, but something was in the air that night. Probably alcohol. The hookup was way better than expected, and he's growing on me. He is very funny, and we have a lot of chemistry, but ... I know he has a tendency to hop around to different girls. He has asked to see me again when we get back to school, and I'm definitely considering it. I know it could be the perfect friends with benefits situation that would allow me to still live out my single lifestyle. So my question is, should I continue to invest time in Mr. Nice Guy because of my strong attraction / liking towards him in hopes that his reservations towards intimacy let up? Or should I continue hooking up with my friend who I wasn't originally attracted to, but the chemistry is there and it's a good Do you think I can improve the hookup style of Mr. Nice Guy? I know there is a 95% chance of both options ending in a matter of months, but I am unsure what I am looking for and my gut is interested in both. Side note, I'm loyal to a fault, so ideally I would choose both, but I know myself, so basically I have to choose one now before I get too invested. Help. Anonymous.
Okay. First of all, she likes being single.
Yeah, but also like not enough. Like, why is she already plotting out her friends with benefits?
What I'm
like
saying
that
is,
she's
my
like
point
to
is,
compliment her single life. That's not like, that's only partly single.
She answered the question. She is going to be single.
I want her to be single.
She's going to be single. This is not a question for now.
Yeah.
These two guys are just passing ships in the night.
Yeah, but I think she likes the sound of saying she likes being single, but she actually doesn't, because if she truly embraced singledom, she wouldn't be considering either guy.
Yeah, she actually is a serial monogamist who's trapped in this mindset that she likes being single, which is fine. A lot of people are like that.
But I don't think she's trapped in the mindset. I think she's trying to convince herself that she's in that mindset.
Well, yeah, it's splitting. Yeah,
Okay.
it's two sides of a coin. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
My point is she's a little confused. She's young, young
21.
Girl. Too young to be really getting serious. But I think she's
too young to be trying to make chemistry happen where it's not happening naturally.
This is what I'm going to say. At this age, if either the physical or the personality is wrong, just move on. You're going to break up with all these people anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, she even said it's very likely they'll both be over.
She's self-aware. Mm-hmm. You know that you're 21. Yeah. It's going to be like 3 months here, 2 months here, 2 weeks here, 6 months maybe.
Yeah, but we are believers in experiencing things so that you really learn it for yourself.
But I think down the road, this is my advice, and this is a down the road advice, was these two, I'm not going to even address this. Do whatever you want. I don't care. But
you think it doesn't matter.
3, 4, 5 years down the road, I will say this. If you meet a guy who's really nice and great in every way and treats you well and you have fun with and you laugh and everything's great, but the kissing's not great and the sex is fine, honestly, stick with it. Because the fact is that 7, 8 years down the line, if you're with this guy, the sex isn't going to be that important anymore, but all the other stuff is going to be super important. So my advice, and this is pretty base advice, but in the end, the more important thing is all the things that are not physical. Oftentimes, if all the things that are not physical are perfect, the physical kind of just goes part and parcel. It just naturally is good too. But in this case, I guess not. Anyway, my point is, when you're a full adult, which you are not, you know that, you can discount the physical a little bit for all the other stuff. That's all I got to say. And that's the answer to this question. But neither of these things are real. Neither of these things are real.
Yeah, I think that part of being single is not needing to choose. That's one of the joys of being single. Like she's already like, I know I'm loyal to a fault and I need to choose or else I'm going to get too invested. It's like, that's a piece of you that maybe you need to work on is feeling like you need to choose. It's like, they're not necessarily choosing her either, right? So why does she need to do the choosing? Why can't she just let each thing unfold as it comes and see where it takes her and do what feels right in the moment and not because you're like, oh, well, I need to have a friends with benefits because otherwise I won't blah, blah, blah. Like why don't stop crossing bridges long before you've arrived at them. Yeah. Enjoy the unknown. This is something that I feel like if you don't, like singledom is such a beautiful time in life as long as you embrace the unknown of it, the fact that they go together. You cannot know the future and be single together. And I think that that's where people have a turbulent singledom experience, because they cannot give up the idea that around the corner might be that guy, and maybe it's this guy, and like they have this sort of like anxious attitude around being single, about wanting to know what's next, wanting to plan, wanting to even know what he's going to look like, what he's going to be wearing. It's like, no, you just embrace the fact that you don't know. That's it. You have, if and when you find your partner, you have a lot of time of knowing who you're going to be waking up next to.
Yeah.
Seriously, you have years of that in your future. Right now, stop trying to plan who you're going to be having sex with when school starts up again. Just take this day by day and spend time with who you enjoy spending time with, and who you want to spend time with, not because they want to spend time with you. Those are two separate things.
And also, if you find yourself asking too many questions about why you're with someone or whether you should be with someone at 21, just move on. Seriously, it's not worth it. You don't bother. Find someone that you're like, this is great. I love every day with this person. I'm not asking a lot of questions.
It's more like, oh, I'm gathering data. Her last relationship, she said, was toxic. It's like, this is data gathering time. I like the company with this guy. And who knows, maybe I'll see if our chemistry can expand. But why do you have to choose? Like, why is that a thing?
So you had a toxic relationship, and now you have a nice guy. You're like, so you like nice. Nice is good, better than toxic.
You want to be treated well, and for it to not be complicated. These are all great things to file away as needs and wants. And then maybe you'll be like, okay, I've given this a while. This sex is not getting better. Meanwhile, I like sex with this other guy, even though he doesn't have these other traits I'm looking for. Then you add this to your mental list of like, I really prefer it when someone's like this. And this is you just putting together what you're looking for. It's not about choosing now to plan for the future. Like, why?
Yeah, you're in a city with hundreds of great restaurants, and you've gone to a few, and now you go to one restaurant that has great food, but the service is awful and the ambiance is terrible. They're playing Pitbull the whole time, way too loud. And then you have another restaurant where the ambiance is amazing, the service is great, the music is elegant, but the food sucks. And it's like, why are you trying to figure out which one of these restaurants to stay with? Find a restaurant that is good everywhere. Good service, good music, good food. You feel happy, you leave good. No runs. Everything's great.
I've talked before about the mistake I think people make, single people make, which is assuming their only options are the ones they already know about. And that's what she's doing right now. She's acting like she has to choose between these two obviously imperfect options. I'm not saying you should be seeking perfection, but this is why you need to know what you're looking for so that you know your needs versus your wants. Everyone's list of wants is very long. But your list of needs, you should be able to distill it down to things that you cannot live without. And that is where the data gathering comes in. You are right on schedule. Enjoy being 21, enjoy being single, and stop forcing yourself to choose between two options that are not exactly what you want.
Right. And just remember, it's in the future, down the road, if you do, just had a lot of swing and misses over the next few years, and you finally do find a guy who's super nice, super funny, fun to be with, great, everything's great, and the physical's it's fine. That's better than the physical being really solid and all the rest being weak.
Absolutely.
That's just a general blanket piece of advice.
And I think also generally, I'm not going to say this is always the case, because sometimes you just don't have good physical chemistry with someone. But if it's decent, oftentimes the sex gets better.
Yes, it always
as you start learning each other, and
a little
you start
better.
Caring about each other.
It doesn't
more.
necessarily get great, but it always gets better.
Yeah.
And as you get older and you get more mature into a relationship with someone, the physical gets less important. Unless it's a purely sex-based relationship.
Or unless you're really, really, really like, you're a sexual person, you love sex, in which case you should bump that up to your list of needs. This is a requirement, and you have to be also willing to very possibly lose something else because of that.
Yeah, you can, generally speaking in life, you can't have the best sex ever and have the best of everything else too.
Yeah.
Usually the fact that it's the best sex ever often means you don't like the person that much.
Andy and I we've both talked about this. We've both had this relationship where the sex was out of this world And part of the reason it was out of this world is because we hated each other.
Yes. And I will say this is going to be controversial, but oftentimes people say this. They say, oh, the really great sex, the amazing, like just tantric sex is when you find someone you love so much and it's so loving, you're so connected. I'm going to call bullshit on that. That is good. That's good in its own way.
Yeah.
But the best sex is with a stranger. And no better stranger than someone that's been living in your house for a few weeks that you hate their guts and you love the sex. That's the kind of stranger that makes great sex, and you should avoid that.
Yes.
That's dangerous.
I agree with that. When I think about the best ever, it came wrapped in conflict.
Yes.
It was as complicated and difficult as it was good. There was as much fighting as there was fun. And when we fought, we fought. Like we hated each other when we fought. And then that like kind of tied in the sex. Like that's not what you should be looking for.
No, you shouldn't want that.
Not to say that that's what she is looking for.
But it is so good. Yeah. It's so good. But you don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't.
But it is good.
Okay, Anonymous. Hopefully this gave you some food for thought. Stop trying to plan so much. Truly enjoying being single involves embracing the unknown. All right, this next question is from Colette. Dear Shandy, I would bet most of your listeners are the 20-somethings and 30-somethings, and I'm an outlier at 57. You might be surprised,
no, not an outlier.
Colette. She's not an outlier.
No, I've looked at the demo we have analytics on both audio and video.
Yeah.
And we have a big chunk of 45 and up. Yeah. Big chunk. And actually we have a surprisingly big chunk of 75 and up.
I love that.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But we also have a lot of 21-year-olds too. It really runs the gamut here. I love it.
I mean, the sweet spot is probably early 30s?
I think the sweet spot is 30s, 40s.
Yeah. But 57, not unusual. Sorry.
No, sorry.
Just a regular old Shandy.
I shamefully watch The Bachelor/Bachelorette as if I'm younger. I disagree. That's not shameful.
Come on. You got one foot in the grave.
Yeah.
What is this talk?
That's how I've become a fan of your podcast. This is such an old person question, but I think it could apply to many people of all ages. Since my mid-40s, I'm on the quest to hide the gray hair. The majority of the gray is right at the front, at my temple where my part is, and that is the place where I see it and where everyone else sees it, so it's been lots of money and lots of highlights over the years. I've enjoyed the highlighted look and think I look pretty amazing for my age. However, I'm not ashamed of being 57. I'm proud of it because I live a healthy lifestyle and stay extremely active. I am in a relationship, boyfriend is 51, for the last 7 years and have 3 beautiful kiddos, 28, 26, and 19, that adore me most of the time. Ha. I have friends that I do things with and life is great. Last year, I decided I was tired of the grays along with the expensive highlights and decided to embrace the gray by collaborating with my stylist to grow it out without having the awful demarcation line. I was 5 or 6 months in and was not hating it. Photos with a flash were a little jarring, but I thought in person it was subtle. My good friend Jay, 51, made one comment. She said, "What's going on with your hair? It ages you about 10 years." I immediately made an appointment with my stylist and begged for my highlights to come back. Here I am again, back to the time and money expense that I don't need. I hate that at my age, I was still a victim of peer pressure. I want to stay current and youthful, but also embrace that I am aging, and that's beautiful too. Here is my question. Do I keep up the hide the gray maintenance because 57 is still too young for that kind of look? Do I embrace the gray? By the way, my hair is long and will remain long. And what do I say when my friend makes a comment about it aging me? 57 Shades of Gray, Colette.
Okay. First of all,
I love this question.
It's 57 variety, right? That's Heinz? It's 57, right? We already had this discussion.
I think so. Yeah, I think it is 57.
57 varieties, yeah. Anyway, you know what Heinz first product was?
Oh, let me. I think I can do this.
No, I may have forgotten, but I think I know.
Oh, beans.
I don't know.
No.
I forgot.
Okay.
I think it might be relish.
I'm looking it up. I'm dying to know.
I think it might be relish.
I'm looking it up.
But I know it's not ketchup.
I think it's beans, and I only know that from Mad Men.
I know that beans, mustard, and relish are my top 3. I think relish is the one.
Horseradish.
That's what it is. Like, damn it.
Bottled?
I always forget that. It's horseradish. I love horseradish too. I'm never going to forget that.
Okay.
Horseradish.
Bottled horseradish.
Because people used to have to like scrape it and scrape it and scrape it. And it was a real pain in the ass.
Okay.
And someone thought about that.
I think it's funny that you brought this on yourself and you didn't know.
I didn't know. I realized it after I asked the question. I was all proud of myself. And then I was like, oof. So
that's a good one, though. That's a good tidbit. That's a good trivia
horseradish.
question.
Don't ever forget that. I'm never going to forget ever again. Okay. So anyway, this is what I'm going to say. She was happy with her gray hair.
Yes.
She is the only one whose opinion counts, especially for something like this. If you're walking around with some really stupid looking hat and a couple of friends are like, that hat is really stupid, probably get rid of the hat.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if you like it. You may have bad taste
No, but
in
even
hats.
then, like, wear the stupid hat.
But that's something, that's not part of your body. Just get rid of the hat. If a couple friends are like, that hat's
No,
terrible.
that's different. I think if you have a terrible hat and like, who cares? Like, I think that all of this, dyeing your hair, not dyeing your hair, wearing a stupid hat, not wearing a stupid hat.
Okay, so let me ask you a
question. This is a form of self-expression. It's no one else's business how you choose to express yourself.
Okay, so tomorrow, and every day starting tomorrow, I wear a beret. You good with that? Because I'm expressing myself, and you should deal with it.
Honestly, if you wore it with the confidence required to wear a beret every day, I would 100% let you wear it.
And this is a message I'd like to say to all the Mandys and Shandys out there. Find a wife who will still love you if you wear a beret every day.
No, they're agree. I know they'll agree with me.
She's a great woman.
It's about wanting
everyday beret.
No, it's
Can you
about
imagine that?
It's about wanting to express
She
yourself.
loves me so much.
Okay. So get to your point.
My point is that it's her hair. It's part of her body. Like if she feels good about having gray hair, that's you. You make that call. The second, like the vice president on that decision is your boyfriend. If your boyfriend hates your gray hair and you decide to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it for him. That's fine.
Even then, that's
pushing it. Okay, fine. I know.
But I know what you're saying. Like, if anyone is allowed to have a say, it's the person who looks at you the most.
Anyone's allowed. It's a boyfriend. You could disregard his opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm saying no one else. And who's this friend? Who the hell is this friend?
Well, okay, so I have thoughts on this.
That's not nice.
No, it isn't nice. But at the same time, I think it's okay. Let's look at it this way. Let's say someone is wearing something that accentuates their body in an unflattering way or something like that. I don't think this friend would say that dress doesn't look good on your body, because I think that it's a lot more, it's objectively a lot more work to change your body than it is to dye your hair. And so I think this friend truly was just like, oh, like, you look better like that, blah, blah, blah. It's sort of like, oh, you have spinach in your teeth, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I still think it doesn't matter what the friend says. And it doesn't matter how many friends say this, or you having some comeback you need to have ready. I think what Andy's saying matters the most, which is that you yourself loved the direction it was going in. Yeah. And you had committed months to making this change, this transition for it to look natural and for you to embrace it gradually, which... Like, you threw all that out the window because one friend said something. I don't think the friend is the focal point here. That friend is showing you that you don't have the confidence yet that you want to have. And so let this be the lesson that it should be. Let the teacher teach you the lesson that you do trust your own taste, and it doesn't matter what anyone says.
Yeah. And you know what? Friends like her, honestly, to her credit, it's possible this is one of those friends that's actually really a true friend who just says everything they think.
Yes.
Like they're so close with you.
I don't think the friend is evil.
That they're like, I think that outfit's disgusting. I think your makeup looks bad. I think your hair should be not. And those are friends are good. You have dandruff on your shoulders.
Yeah, okay,
you got ketchup on your face. You got spinach in your teeth.
Okay.
Those are friends you kind of want sometimes.
Yes.
But you can't always take what they say as gospel.
No.
You liked your gray hair. You felt good about it. White hair, gray hair? I guess it's technically gray. You felt good about it. One person said you didn't like it. What you really need to look at is why you were placing so much value on one person's opinion. Do you do that in other parts of your life? Huh?
Or just listening to anyone but herself.
Yeah.
In this case, they didn't sound like there was a chorus of people saying it.
No.
It was one friend. And she didn't even talk about how much she trusts this friend, by the way.
And this isn't a life-changing decision. It's not like you're like, should I take a job in Germany or a job in like Des Moines? This is like your hair. You can always change the color whenever you want.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
You liked your gray hair. This is sad. This is a tragedy.
Yeah.
I was into you liking your gray hair, and now it's back to not gray, and you put in all that work?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, and I genuinely don't think I think it would be easy to be like, that bitch, that friend.
No.
I don't really think that's it. I think
it wasn't a nice thing to say traditionally, but honestly, this might be a good friend who her opinion was this, and she might be totally wrong.
Yes.
And who cares if she's right?
Yeah,
you liked it.
The lesson to be learned is the separating from hearing it from caring.
Take the information and feed it through the filter of what you want in your life.
Because there's always going to be a friend. There's always going to be a friend.
Everyone. You know how many friends have told me, like, oh, you're doing well, these actually not the best
podcast.
friends, but I have friends who's like, oh, podcast is stupid. What are you, is that a joke?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, the joke's on you now.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone in the peanut gallery making some comments. So this is not about the friend. The friend is just a catalyst for you to look in the mirror and realize that you liked what you saw in the mirror. And you let one other person change that?
Come on.
I think that she is wanting to be more comfortable at 57 than she actually is. And I'm going to point out a couple of things in her email along the way. Just even, I would bet most of your listeners are the 20-somethings, 30-somethings. And I'm an outlier.
She's coming in low.
Yes.
She's coming in, you know what she's doing? She's coming into the door, crouched like this. She's like, hello.
Yeah. I'm different than
the house?
Yeah. It's also, I shamefully watch The Bachelor, Bachelorette as if I'm younger.
What is this? Just do what you like to do.
This is such an old person question. What is this? Why are you doing this to yourself? Stop doing this.
Sorry, we shouldn't be yelling at someone for being insecure. I didn't mean it that way. I said, don't try to not do this.
Mm-hmm. And here, however, I'm not ashamed of being 57. I am proud of it because I live a healthy lifestyle and stay extremely. Okay, so she is proud of being 57 because the healthy lifestyle, that she's extremely active. She feels she looks amazing for her age. But let's separate all that. Can you just be proud of 57? I think there's a lot of language in this email to suggest that she actually isn't. She's struggling with it. Actually own it. This whole question is a microcosm for the fact that she doesn't actually embrace it yet. The fact that she's on the quest, though, makes her so far ahead of many people.
Way far ahead in the race. But the hair is simply symbolic of a bigger issue of you embracing your age.
Yeah.
Embrace it. You're in great shape.
Yeah.
You got some young stud as a boyfriend. Just fly your white hair with pride.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. A good streak can look really cool.
Good streak. Yeah. Get pink, white, green, do whatever you want. Who cares? Whatever you want.
We had brunch next to this fabulous
90-year-old woman.
Yeah. They were two elderly ladies and they both had fantastic style. One was wearing like dark lipstick to brunch with these big earrings and she had such great style. The other one had like purple hair. They found each other late in life. We thought they had been lifelong friends, but they're like, no, we only became friends recently. And they were out having brunch. They were toasting their Bloody Marys to friendship. And I was like, that is everything right there.
And you don't think one of her 80-something-year-old friends was like, why'd you dye your hair purple? What's wrong with you? And she was like, because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Now suck it. That's exactly what she said too.
Okay, all this to say, Colette, we want you to grow your grays out again.
Send us a picture.
Well, only if you want to, and you're allowed to change your mind, but don't let it.
You don't have to be gray.
Someone else who does it for you.
Just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And here's the thing: I think there is an argument to be made that dyeing your hair is like who cares? Like really embrace it, blah blah blah. But then you're going to meet just as many people, if not more, who are like, no, it ages you. It ages you. It ages you. Yeah. That you have to tune out the noise, whether or not it's true.
Watch The Bachelor with pride, wear your hair however you want, and just know that 10 years from now, you're going to be looking back and like, I wish I was 57 again. And 20 years from now, you're going to really be looking back. And 30, if you're still around, you're going to be like, whoa, what I would do. You'd kill someone. You'd kill somebody to be your age now. You're the youngest you're ever going to be right this second. Do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. And in those 30 years, hopefully she dyes her hair purple.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a wrap, Andy, for this Q&A sesh.
All right.
Well, I liked that one.
Yeah.
It was a good variety.
Yeah. Good variety.
Yes.
I like this one. Not a lot of romance. Well, some incest, but not much romance.
You're right. Not a lot of romance. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok. TikTok,
Leave us Apple and
Spotify.
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, 1 moment.
I'm always surprised every time. Ruby. Let's see who she chooses. Someone said they can't believe that we do this each time because it would be like hard. Hard on them emotionally for Ruby to choose the other person, basically.
We have secure attachment styles.
Ruby, come on. Ruby, come to mama.
Come on. You know where the love's at. Bring it home. Bring it home. Come on, right here. This is where you belong.
I love giving her choice.
Okay. Right here. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. You know you want it. Uh-oh.
Come on.
Ruby. Oh, no touching. There's no touching.
Oh, no touching.
Ruby, over here. Come on. Oh, you want that side?
Ruby,
get out of your house.
Ruby,
come on.
Fine.
Right here.
Oh.
Yay! Good girl.
I generally do all the things you do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.